Going to start now a Sicha, part of the project Likkutei Sichos. As we mentioned many times, 2 Sichos a week. We're going to start the first Sicha in Chelik Chaf, volume 20. It's the first Sicha, page 124. All the shirim that we're learning now is Lin Nishmas, Yehuda Lei Ben Yibadal Chaim Tevim Yitzchak, and you should be a Melech Yesher. Aleph, Eifim Pasav Vayishka V'Makim Ahu Shteit Medrash. And regarding this week's Parsha, the Pasuk says that Yaakov laid down, he slept in that place when he came and he was on his way to Choron. The Pasuk says, Vayishka V'Makim Ahu, and he slept in that place. So Shteit Medrash, the Medrash says, and Rashi brings down, Kan Shochav, that over here, Dafke, by Haramaria, that's when he slept. I will call Yudal Shana Shaytam Beis Aver Lo Shochav, that the 14 years that he was in the yeshiva of Aver, he did not sleep. That's what it says. Vayishka. Why did the Torah have to say Vayishka b'makom ahu? Why stress that he slept in that place? So the Medrash says because for the last 14 years he didn't sleep. And then a second opinion says Kan Shachav, that here he slept. I will call Shana Shama Shachav, that all the years, the 20 years that he worked in Lavan's house, he mamish didn't sleep. As it says that Yaakov said about himself, my sleep drifted from my eyes. Right there is a Mamshech Medrash. Then it says in the Medrash, Maha Yoimer, what did Yaakov say? What did he say all this time? Shua ben Levi Yoimer, Tes Vav Shir Amalish B'Sefer Tilim. So Rabbi Shua ben Levi said that he said the 15 Shir Amalis in Tehillim. My time. Why did he say the 15 Shir Amalis? Shir Amalis of David, Lule Hashem Shayolano Yoimer No Yisrael. So he said that what's the reason behind his opinion? Because the pasuk says, Shir Amalis by David, were it not for Hashem who was with us, let Yisrael declare now. And he says Yisrael Sabeh. When he says Yemer Na Yisrael, this refers to Yisrael Sabeh, Yaakov Avinu. So he says this refers to Yisrael the elder, our forefathers Yaakov. Yeah. Shir Amalis of David, Lule Hashem Shayolanu. If not for Hashem who was with us, Yemer Na Yisrael. Who's Yisrael is going on Yaakov. Yisrael Saba. Shmuel bar Nachman Eimer. Shmuel bar Nachman says, Omar kol Sefer Tilim hayo Eimer. He would recite the entire Sefer Tilim when he was the base Lavan. Va'ata kodesh yeshet Tehilas Yisrael Yisrael Saba. And he says, he brings from the pasuk, you Hashem are enthroned upon the praises of Yisrael, and this refers to Yaakov. So it's a machlekes. What he said, so did he say the tesva of Shir HaMalis? And you have a difference of opinion on where he gets it from. Either from the pasuk of Ludei Hashem, Shayolanu Yemer No Yisrael, Yisrael is Yaakov, or Shmuel bar Nachman says, Ata Kodesh Yeshet Tehilas Yisrael, Yisrael is Yaakov. The Pshat in the Shaila Maya Omer, can it design mitvos as Yaakov Avinu given for Num Beis Lavan? When the Medrash asks that Umaha Yoimer, what would he say? The question is not what was he involved with. Now the plain meaning when it says that what would he say cannot be with what did Yaakov engage while in Lavan's house, because the pasuk clearly says he worked by day and by night my sleep drifted from my eyes. The guy was working. Yaakov was working the whole time. Now the Shaila is, was hat Yaakov gesagt, mispalgim and gelernt, kedei zu kennen, überkommen, die Schwierigkeiten in Choron Beis Lavan. Rather, the question is, what did Yaakov recite, what did he daven and learn in order to overcome the hardships while in Choron in Lavan's house? How could he handle such a place? Zayin dik Beis Lavan is doch Yaakov given in the Matzah Shel Golus. Being in, during Lavan's house, Yaakov was in a state of exile. Is weggegangen zu sein bebeis Lavan. He went away from Yitzchak's house and went to where Lavan. Hat sich dorten vernommen mit 10 Lavan's 10. And what was he doing there? He was involved in Lavan's sheep. Und hat sich dorten vernommen mit 10 Lavan's 10. Bis as sein Gefinnen sich bebeis Lavan hat gepeilt bei ihm ayridim madrigosei. Until Lavan's house affected him so much that he had a descent from his level. Like it says that Yaakov, and Rashi brings down, if Lavan comes to deceive me, I too will be like a brother in deception. Thus says, as by him is given kiviyachol the inyan aramois b'dugmas aramois Lavan. That means he had to be cunning just like Lavan. Now, where did the shaila? So the question is, v'azay is durchgegangen beigestanden dem inyan hagalos. So now the question is, how is it fact? The question arises, how could it be that Yaakov would survive and endure such a galus? Sicher is das given durch hakol Yankov, welcher is mevatel die Yadayim und die Benagdim von Yankov, wenn Kamar Chazal is the shaila mahoyo immer. So, and of course, to do so, he had to have used the voice of Yaakov. His voice had the power to neutralize the hands of his adversaries and anyone who opposed Yaakov and his values, as the Chacham say. The question is, therefore, what would he say? In other words, how did he use his voice to neutralize the opponents? If them for the Medrash, as does ein given the test of shira mal shebesefer tilim, other kol sefer tilim, and of this the Medrash says that he either said the 15 shira males or he said the entire sefer tilim. Das hat ihm gegeben dem keach as soll kennen durchmachen dem inyan agalas. This gave him the resilience to preserve throughout the exile. However, we need to understand. In that side, now, granted is that he said the entire Tehillims and during this period of time that he spent in Lavan, it's well understood. Warum sein dik an Maimon was Parshas hat nicht gekannt lernen Torah bei ihm. Yaakov is in a state that he was not able to learn Torah properly. Agapon nicht wie Bishas is given Talmud base oven of Eber. Hat gesagt Tehillos zum Ebersten und Azena Tehillos welchen Neutlim schar can go in alles. So I can understand that he said the whole entire Tehillim because he was busy in Bebeis Eber. So he wanted to use, say, as the Gemara says, rewards for studying the Mesechtas of Negoyim and Olis. Was ist aber das spezielle Sheiches von die Tesvav Shira Malish Besefer Tilim zu sein Ma'amid Beis Lavan? Now the question is, what significance do the 15 Shira Malis in Tilim have concerning Yaakov's situation in Lavan's house? What's the connection? Now the Rabbi says, was man das verstehen behalten, was the Chida bringt, as die Tesvav Shira Malis Omar David Alav Hashem Kineged Tesvav Shanim Shechayu Ha'avis B'Yachid. Now, we can understand this by what the Chida says, that the 15 Shira Malis that Yaakov said, the Tesvav of Shira Malis that David HaMelech said corresponds to the 15 years that all three of the forefathers were alive together. Now, Avram Avinu had gelebt 100 shana v'shim shana v'chavish shana. Avram Avinu lived 175 years. Yitzchak is geboren when Avram is given ben 100 shana. Yitzchak was born when Avram was 100 years old. Yaakov is geboren when Yitzchak is given ben 60 shana. And Yaakov was born when Yitzchak was 60 years old. So it comes out as the given test of Shalom Shechayav. It comes out that Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov lived together 15 years. As Yaakov hat gesagt, die Test of Shira Malish besefer Tilim besteht mit zum sein dem Sichos von seiner Avis Avram Yitzchak. So now we can explain why Yaakov said the 15 Shira Malish in Sefer Tilim is in order to arouse the Sichos of Avram and Yitzchak. As Neisov of seine eigenes Schies v'keches. In addition to his own Schies and keches, so euch nimshach werden die keches von Avram and Yitzchak, also the Avram and Yitzchak's keches should be drawn down on him. Was durch dem Dafke hat gekent durchmachen die Schwierigkeiten bis Lavan. Through this, he was able to withstand and overcome the house of Lavan. Wie hat gesagt, Lule, the kei Avraham ufachat Yitzchak hayali v'gemer. Like he says, had not the Hashem of my father, the Hashem of Avram, and fear of Yitzchak, been with me. Gimel. Der Tam for was hat gedarf ankommen zum Schos von alle Ovis, bechtet zu beikommen den Isenes von Lavan. Now the reason why Yaakov had to secure the merits of the forefathers to prevail over Lavan, wird man das verstehen von der Eitze, was bringt sich wie zum Nazer sein in Mechamas Vayeitzei Bechlal. We'll understand this by considering what Chassidus explains, how to triumph in the war against the Yetzer Hara. Was man abgelernt von der Mechamas Gepschutte, welches vorgekommen in die Zeiten von Alten Eben. This strategy strategies derived from an actual war fought during the lifetime of the Alter Rebbe. The seder from Ma'aroches HaMelchama Bechlal is, as Mechalkim Kol Echad HaChayal Shaloi Legim Mechalakim Chelik Echad Be'emtza Shtei Yodos Mimin U'Smol. So the way, generally the method of when you have, let's say, military tactical formations is that each side arranges their troops into 3 camps. One camp takes up the center position, the other 2 camps takes positions to the right and to the left. Now the 2 sides then engage in battle against each other. So that's how it works in military. In military, you have the way that the camp is into 3, and then one camp takes the center position, the other 2 camp takes the right and the left, and the opposing side also arranges themselves in 3 similar camps. 2 sides then engage in battle against each other. That's how it works in war. Und die Hatzlache in der Mechama, was es gewesen in jenem Zeit, ist gekommen durch dem, was man weggestellt Gimel Machne Shalai an tegen ein Machne von dem Seni, weil es ist Gaber Bade Alai. Now, the military success in the war during that time was achieved when his 3 camps were all strategically concentrated against just one of the enemy's camp at a time. In this way, they would surely be victorious. So the Rebbe says, from here we can also act similarly regarding the spiritual battle. This is the Mecham of the Yitzhara. So in order to defeat the Yitzhara, the person needs to arouse all 3 emotions of Kedusha, which is love, fear, and compassion. Against one emotion of Klippa. And through this, we will vanquish and be victorious. The fight darf man haben die Tesvav Shiram Aleis, welche seine Keneged Tesvav Shanim Shechayu Ha'ovis B'yachad, if durchgehen in Beisten im Inyan Hagalos. And for this reason, the 15 Shiram Aleis were said, corresponding to the 15 years that the Ovis lived together, are needed to survive and withstand the Galus. Und der Fahr darf man haben die Tesvav Shiram Aleis. Again, okay, so the Gimel Ovis and Dach Keneged, the Gimel Midas Kedusha. The 3 Ovis parallel the 3 emotions of Kedusha, which are Ava and Yira and Rachamim. Avram is Ava, Yitzchak is Yira, and Yaakov is Rachamim. So Yaakov needed the Ava, Yira, and the Rachamim. Shasmat alle Gimel Ovis B'yachad, das heißt, mit Kleib zusammen alle Gimel Midas Kedusha B'yachad, demot hat man dem Keach beiständig alle Nisyanis von Golus und sein Mevatel sein. And when a person rallies together all 3 emotions of Kedusha, he has the power to withstand all the ordeals of Golus and to neutralize them. Dalin. So that's why he said the Tesvav Shiram Aleis, because 15 corresponds to the 15 years that they lived together. So you need to be Ma'ir, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov in order to fight love and Tzad HaMenagid. And that's the war tactical. Whenever, in order to be victorious, when the camp splits up in 3, and those 3 attack the camp at once, then they're victorious. Dalit. Alpi Hanal, Alpi Zeh, Yishtem Ma'aremez, Alpi Derech Chassidus V'Adiyek, and the Mispar Tesvav Shiram Aleis, and Tesvav Shanim Shechayu Ha'ovis B'yachad. On this basis, we can say that there's a hint, according to the Chassidus, what's this nuance? 15 Shiram Aleis in 15 years that they live together. Misper Tesvav Vais, if the erste Tzveisis von Shem Havaya, Yud, K, Bigmachi Tesvav. The number 15 alludes to the first 2 letters in the name of Shem Havaya. Right? Yud, Bigmatria is 10, Hey is Vav, Hey is 5. Together 15 is Bigmatria 15. So Yud K, 15 corresponds to the first 2 letters of Shem Havaya. There's a chiluk between Yud K and Vav K, as the ACS Vav Hey Zayin B'chinas Midas U'Malchus, and the ACS Yud K Zayin B'chinas Meichin Yud Chachma Hey Bina. So it's known, we said this many times, that Yud K Vav K, the Yud is Chachma, Hey is Bina, Vav is Hamshacha of Midas, and Hey is Malchus. So the first Yud and Hey refers to Chachma and Bina. So that's 15. And thus is the inyan from Tesvav Shanim Shechayu Ha'ovis B'yachad. And this is the idea of the 15 years that they live together. In order to have all these 3 emotions of Ava, Yira, and Rachamim. darf und die Midas mehr sein der am Meichen Yudke. So you need to have, in order for this to happen, you need to have all, you need to have the Yudke come in, shine, that all the three attributes should work. Since the brain, the Meichen is higher than any division of Midas, the Dibber Peilin Zay these scholars of this. So therefore they're able to, the Yud K is able to peil that the Ava, Yira, and Rachamim should come together. Because it's higher. Hey, thus is Rabbi Lechenit Masbik. It's not, so till now we're saying that why 15? Because 15 is Yud K. In order to have the Ava, Yira, and Rachamim together, you need to have the Yud K of, which is the Meichen, to be Ma'orer, or to come down into the Midas, that it should be Miskal all Midas. But the Rebbe says, and hey, das is aber Lechenit Masbik. It's not enough. Why? The test of Shir Amal should be Sefer Dilim, where an angerufen b'shem Shir. But Shir is verbunden mit an initial Simcha. Is wie hat Yaakov, you can't sagen, Shir Amal is an initial Shir, Zaynik and Amayim the Matzah Shagolos. Now the question is, at the end of the day, what is he saying? He's saying the 15 songs of ascent, Shir Amalis. How could Yaakov say Shira in a time when he was in Golos? How could he be happy? How could he sing? Es takas di mizmorim retzach vegin ezri goimer minasinas keich baikum dem Golos. Aber wie kann man stehen nach Simcha Gluya, was demult das Masim zu sagen Shira, well, derech maimer asal. And im Shira al yayin, when man gefindt sich becharin, charein afsham akim bebeis shalavan. At the end of the day, where's Yaakov? Yaakov is bebeis shalavan. He's in charein af. He's in the worst of the worst places in Golos. And what is he doing? He's singing. How is that possible? So the Rebbe says like this. Is there beer in them? The explanation is the Yerida von Yaakov Avinu lebeis Lavan is given b'shvil haliyah as by Yifrei Ish made. The reason why Yaakov had to go down into Lavan is eventually for an aliyah, that he should be very successful. The Balas Yaakov had gesehen tachas amachavim von sein Yerida. The aliyah was that der von Areis kommen. So then, since Yaakov had foresight, he saw the big picture that he's going for Yerida l'tzerich aliyah. The Rebbe there Zayin Bebeis Lavan gezak Shir Amalis. Even while he's in Bebeis Lavan, he was able to say Shir Amalis. Zayin. Jeder Inyan kommt zum Eisdrik Bat Gosha in Zayin Haschala V'Reish. Every matter is its underlying message is emphasized by its beginning and start specifically. Al derech zeh ben Yonenu, the same thing we're speaking about. As the Aliyah was kum durch die Yerida in Galus is mudgash in the Ersten von the Tesvav Shir Amalis. So this principle applies in our discussion. The first of the Shir Amalis that comes by way of descent into Galus is underscored by the first of the Shir Amalis. The Siyam v'chesim from the Ersten Shir Amalis was Hakol Hedach Achar Achitim, the closing and concluding pasuk in the first Shir Amalis, which we know everything follows the conclusion, is Ani Shalem v'chiadaber heimel ha'mechama. The pasuk says, I am at peace, but when I speak, they are at war. What's meant as Chach Afila as Arvil Shalem. So even though David HaMelech wants Shalom from das Wegen, Hema Bayim Lilachem Bi, they come to fight me. But the Mechama Ruchni is das der Helen v'Hester from Galus. What is the Mechama? The Mechama is the Helen v'Hester of Galus. With Prati is the Inyan Anishenis, was an Moineo Ma'akif on Avedis Hashem, or they come with Mechama Kegen. And in detail, this is the spiritual assault and the concealment and distortion of godliness in exile, and particularly the trials and tribulations that impede and obstruct a person from serving Hashem, and instead come to wage war against him. When the dam was erzukt, Shir Amalis of Vehemel HaMachama is mudgish dem Gedel Ilei was kum dareis durch the Machama. So by saying Shir Amalis, while asserting they are a war for me, the greatness of the ascent resulting from the war is emphasized. What does that mean? A Yid is not permitted to place himself or even allow himself to wind up in challenging circumstances. We say in davening, do not bring us into temptation. Therefore, David HaMelech says, I am at peace. As a zucht an aveda b'derech shalom, was nit verbunden mit mechama v'nisenis, which means he hopes to accomplish his aveda peacefully, disassociating from any sort of war and temptation. Aber afal became, nevertheless, mitzadem ilay was ver dafke durch the mechama v'nisenis, since an elevation arises specifically when facing wars and temptations, machlefam the Ebershtar as hema boin la mechama bi. So sometimes Hashem, hema, they, in the plural refers to they come to wage war with me. Asfishin di hema lashon rabim, right? Hema lashon rabim lemazeh agashmish nikra rishus rabim. So zayin azayne was kumen leichem zayin nishternen avedis Hashem. So what do we say? They, in the plural, referring to the physical world, which is called the rishus rabim, includes those that come to battle and disrupt the person from avedis Hashem. But if them zok there, and that's why he says shir hamalis. He says the songs shir hamalis. Not only do they not hold them back from Avedis Hashem, and they don't cause them, and thus bring them as their state in a matzah from shir. So that's why it says a song of Shir Amalis. Not only do the trials not disrupt his Avedis Hashem, nor weaken his Aveda anyway. On the contrary, they bring out additional strength and courage with more passion and power, which will lead a person to a state of conductive shir. Okay, last ois. Zayin. Yeding in Torah is a hayra nitzchis. Everything in Torah is everlasting hayra. Is there fun moving as kol anal hayra al kol zman agos and hayra miyuchedes for unser Zeit keisha agos dardik for some Sichos. Everything is hayra. And Tzirah, during the duration of Galus, in our generation, the hardships of Galus in the generation of Iksad the Mashiach. Shas min trach zecharein in dem keshach hakafol mechupol. Kodar dik for some Mashiach business alpi teda is the makom to fragam ayin yavi ezri. So when a person thinks in the how bad Galus is, and he asks ayin yavi ezri, where will help come? Kemen dacharein fall na yirshach man latzan. So you can give up. You can be you can be in a state of despair. What's the lesson? What's the idea of a Yid in Galus? This is the idea of Yaakov leaving Haran. B'shvil Aliyah. Yaakov went for B'shvil Aliyah. Kedem soll sein der Yisen Erem Nacheshach und Yisen Chacham Nasichlis. Sein der Esse Einai. Man darf sich zukommen und Beifung von Esse Einai zum Tachas am Mechaven von Galus. Der Aliyah, was wird sein? Begula Asida und Demalt ist nicht nur was man wird in the spell from them cheshach galus and adrab mishtetin amayim the matzah v'simcha gdula sharmalis. So when a person thinks that the whole galus is the tzerich aliyah, so he'll be happy. Chas v'shalom zu sagen as man darf sein zufrieden von dem mayim the matzah from galus and trachten as das is amayim the matzah for you, not to be happy in galus. Chas v'shalom galus is an for cheshach and sichos. Galus is darkness. When I yid begalus teid zok teid emes klar. When daitach as eres a ben shegolam al shuchan aviv amelech. When a person is in galus, we're like a son who's exiled from his father's table. When Oib der Ben fehlt anders und sagt anders, ist verstandig die spezielle Finsternis und Niedrigkeit von der Galus. When a son is saying something opposite, you can understand how deep and how dark the Galus is. Nor man darf sich hereintrachten in der kavanische Bezel. Soll sagen, Yisen Erem Nacheshach, Yisen Chacham Sichlis. We have to know why we're here. We're here to make an aliyah. Und durch den wird es galum und fehlt dem Entfert. If the Shalom Ayin Yavi Ezri, in the Shaila Gufa, late in Pirush HaPnimi, as the Ezri, V'ed Nimshach, from P'nes Ayin. So when we say Me'ayin Yavi Ezri, that means the Ezri will come from the level of Ayin. Meken, die beginnen nit bagreifen, sie is hecher von Sicha V'avona, von Shemes, it's higher than any name. That's Ayin, the level of Chachma, which is higher than any name. When the Ezri V'ed Nimshach Eich in the Seder Shtalshus, so the level of Ezri comes in Seder Shtalshus, Megillah in pale dirt, Ezri means in Hashem, Ezri Shemayim V'aretz, it affects in the world, biz and Shemayim V'aretz, K'pshut, until in the world, Begashmis.